It's the royal plot twist no one saw coming, yet somehow, in the chaotic whirlwind that is Sarah Ferguson's life, it makes perfect sense. Yes, that's Sarah Ferguson, the once Duchess of York, the red-headed rebel of the royal family. The woman who went from Buckingham Palace to tabloid infamy faster than you can say toe-sucking scandal. She's back in the spotlight again, and this time, she's not coming quietly. Word is Fergie's dating again. But we're not talking about quaint dinners in Chelsea or countryside walks with a tweed-wrapped aristocrat.
If you want more unfiltered royal truth, not the palace-approved version, hit like, subscribe and tell us in the comments, are Beatrice and Eugenie breaking the cycle or repeating history? Stay tuned. The tea only gets hotter.
Oh no, she's hunting, strategizing, on the prowl for one very specific type of partner, a sugar daddy, a high-net-worth lifeline, the kind of man who can fund the next act of her very complicated life. And let's be real, this isn't about butterflies and violins. This is business. This is survival. This is Sarah Ferguson, once royalty, now a woman cornered by scandal and stripped of privilege, trying to buy her way into reinvention one rich boyfriend at a time. Let's rewind. Once, she was the flame-haired firebrand who married a prince, a commoner turned duchess, an outsider who was supposed to bring fun and flair to the firm. But instead, she brought drama, tabloid chaos, financial embarrassments, and then just as her life was tumbling into chaos, the Epstein scandal exploded like a bomb at the palace gates. Her ex-husband, Prince Andrew, was deeply entangled. She, of course, got scorched in the fallout. And while the public and the royals rushed to create distance from Andrew's disgrace, they didn't exactly cradle Sarah in sympathy. In fact, she got burned too. Hard. Gone were the days of palace invites and subtle indulgences. Her title? Poof. Her royal protection? Gone. Her connections? Radio silent. The royal family, always ruthlessly efficient when it comes to damage control, cut her loose like dead weight. And now, she's floating untethered, exposed, and fiercely determined not to sink. And that's where the sugar daddy strategy comes in. Insiders say Ferguson's mindset has shifted. She no longer believes she can salvage her image within the UK. Too much scandal, too much shame, too much Epstein. The media won't let her breathe, and the British public, unforgiving as ever. So she's plotting something new, something international, a reinvention far away from London tabloids and Windsor whispers. But to do that, she needs capital, resources, someone with a private jet and a discreet villa in the south of France. Someone who can bankroll the escape hatch she so desperately wants. Because here's the cold truth, Sarah's broke. She's been broke. This isn't new. Over the years, she's burned through fortunes, made reckless investments, spent beyond her means, relied on handouts, connections, and questionable deals. Who could forget the shady email praising Jeffrey Epstein while accepting financial support from him? That decision alone was a reputational time bomb, and it went off with devastating consequences. Her last-ditch access to elite money dried up. Her name became toxic in elite circles. And yet, even now, she refuses to take full responsibility. Behind closed doors, she's reportedly blaming everyone but herself. Andrew, the monarchy, the press, they're the villains. She, the misunderstood victim of a royal system that used her and discarded her when she became inconvenient. She's even said, allegedly, that the golden handcuffs have come off. That losing her status was liberating, or a convenient spin on a humiliating fall from grace. Depends who you ask. But one thing's clear, Sarah's not going quietly. She's leveraging every last bit of charm and connection she has left, reaching out to wealthy international figures, quietly signaling that she's open to companionship. You don't need a decoder ring to know what that means. She's not picky about age or looks. She's not chasing romance. She's chasing security. She wants a partner with deep pockets and shallow ties to Britain. Someone powerful enough to shield her from scandal. Someone international, ideally French, Italian, American, Arab, it doesn't matter. As long as they're rich, willing, and ready to fund a reinvention campaign, she's all ears. Think about that. A former royal once welcomed to the Queen's table, now scanning the globe for a man who can cover the bills. It's equal parts tragic and predictable, because this is not new behavior. Sarah Ferguson has always played this game. Over the years, she's dated French counts, tennis stars, financiers. The pattern is obvious. Charm them, lean on them, use them. Not maliciously, necessarily, but strategically. She's a survivor. She knows how to wrap herself in glamour, play the part of the eccentric duchess, and make powerful men feel like saviors. And now, she's dusting off the old playbook. There are whispers she's already had meetings quiet, behind-the-scenes conversations with men in Monaco, Dubai, Geneva. And it's not just flirtation. This is negotiation, a transactional hunt, a trade. Her title is prestige, her royal-adjacent aura, for a luxurious exit from Britain's judgmental glare. Because make no mistake, Sarah wants out. Out of Britain, out of the headlines, out of the shadow of Andrew's disgrace and the monarchy's cold shoulder. She wants sun, yachts, and freedom. Somewhere she can sip rose and Instagram sunsets without being chased by reporters or haunted by her past mistakes. But escaping a scandal like hers, it doesn't come cheap. And without a palace stipend or Epstein's checkbook, the only lifeline left is another man's wallet. And yet, there's a catch. Because while Sarah may find her sugar daddy may even ride off into the Mediterranean sunset with one, it won't erase what came before. The public has a long memory. Her name is etched in scandal, and no glamorous retreat or diamond necklace will scrub away the past. Wherever she goes, the questions follow. The Epstein ties, the money, the betrayal. It's all part of her story now. And so, this sugar daddy saga, this latest chapter in the Sarah Ferguson roller coaster, feels less like a reinvention and more like a high-stakes gamble. A final bet placed at the table, hoping that charm and desperation can spin fortune back in her favor. She might win. She might land the billionaire. She might disappear into foreign luxury and leave the paparazzi behind. But even if she does, she never really escape. Not truly. Because the ghosts of her choices, financial, romantic, royal, aren't tied to geography. They're tied to her name, her reputation, her legacy. And in the end, that's the most tragic twist of all. She had everything once. A title, a platform, a chance to rise above the tabloid noise. And time after time, she squandered it chasing flash, taking shortcuts, leaning on the wrong men. Now, she's chasing one more. And whether this time she finds rescue or just another scandal, only time and her next wealthy companion will tell. So here we are, Sarah Ferguson, once a royal duchess, now playing a dangerous game of high society roulette, spinning the wheel one more time in hopes it lands on billionaire salvation instead of public disgrace, again. And while the headlines are having a field day with the sugar daddy gossip, underneath it all lies something far more revealing, far more human, the desperate, raw instinct to survive when every door has slammed shut behind you. Let's not kid ourselves, this isn't some glamorous rom-com comeback. This is a woman backed into a corner, stripped of her prestige, exiled from the firm, and publicly embarrassed by one scandal too many. She's doing what she's always done, turning charm into currency. Because in Sarah's world, reinvention isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. She's been reinventing herself since the moment she tripped over the royal threshold back in the 80s. Remember that girl? The bubbly, brash outsider who brought color to a stiff monarchy. The one who laughed too loud, wore skirts too short, and dared to outshine the more proper members of the royal lineup. They didn't know what to do with her. She was electric and unpredictable, a real woman with flaws, appetites, and ambition. But that spark, that refusal to be tamed, is exactly what led her here. Because the institution doesn't like mess. And Sarah Ferguson, she's been messy since day one. Which is why this latest chapter, her alleged sugar daddy search, should surprise no one. Because when the palace shuts you out, when your scandals outnumber your allies, what's left? The same place she's always run. Find the money, find the man, secure the future. But this time, it's different. This time, she's not just fighting for relevance or a seat at the table. She's fighting to stay afloat, financially, socially, emotionally. This isn't about the next handbag line or memoir deal. This is about escaping a country that no longer wants her, a press that won't forgive her, and a royal family that, let's be brutally honest, used her when it suited them and abandoned her when she became inconvenient. So yes, she's dating. Yes, she's reportedly targeting ultra-wealthy men across the globe. But let's not call it dating like she's swiping through Tinder in hopes of finding her soulmate. No, this is courtship as strategy, romance as economics, love, if you can call it that, reduced to logistics. It's transactional, not tender. And before you scoff at it, before you roll your eyes at the idea of a 60-something former duchess seducing foreign billionaires for security, remember, Sarah's not the first to play this game. She just happens to be doing it in the unforgiving glare of public scrutiny, with a royal ex-husband who's a walking PR disaster, and a nation eager to mock her every move. Because make no mistake, the court of public opinion has already tried, sentenced, and banished her. To most Brits, she's a punchline, a cautionary tale. The woman who blew her royal shot, cozied up to predators, and now clings to fame through scandal. And that image, that reputation, is nearly impossible to shake. So maybe that's why she's looking beyond Britain's shores. The reports of her wanting to flee the UK aren't baseless. They're the logical next step. A woman in her position doesn't just want a wealthy partner, she wants escape. She wants the kind of partner who can whisk her away from London's cold stares to a Mediterranean villa where no one whispers Epstein when she walks into a room. Where her past is a curiosity, not a curse. Where she can sip champagne on a yacht and tell stories of palace life without anyone asking inconvenient questions. It's no coincidence she's reportedly reaching out to international elites, men from oil-rich nations, tech billionaires with island hideaways, European tycoons with old money and even older mansions. These aren't random love interests. These are escape routes with wallets. They're retirement plans in designer suits. She's looking for insulation, emotional, financial, reputational. And yet, even in that, there's a kind of tragic brilliance. Because say what you will about Sarah Ferguson, she's never been stupid. Impulsive, yes. Naive? Often. But dumb? Never. She's survived decades in one of the most cutthroat, image-obsessed ecosystems on earth, the British aristocracy, and she's still standing. Scarred, yes. Mocked, definitely. But standing nonetheless. You don't do that without cunning, without adaptability, without learning how to make people underestimate you then flipping the script. She's not playing by royal rules anymore. She's done pretending. Done walking the palace line, smiling politely while they erase her behind the scenes. This sugar daddy hunt, it's her declaration of independence. A scandal, yes, but a calculated one. Because if she's going to be branded a gold digger, a fame hunter, a royal embarrassment, she might as well cash the check. But the question still hangs in the air, can she pull it off? Can Sarah Ferguson, a woman shadowed by financial missteps, poor judgment, and a nuclear-level scandal involving the world's most notorious predator, truly outrun her past? Can a new billionaire beau really fix a legacy? Or is she just kicking the can down the road, building a new life on sand that'll collapse the moment the next tabloid drops a photo or leaks an email? We don't know. And she probably doesn't either. Because at the heart of all this isn't just scandal, it's sadness. It's the story of a woman who once had the world, who once stood on palace balconies and waved to crowds, now reduced to backroom negotiations and desperate reinvention. She didn't lose it all in one moment. It was a slow unraveling. 1,000 tiny cuts, each scandal slicing deeper. And now, she's sewing together a new identity with the only thread she has left, someone else's money. Is it dignified? No. Is it sustainable? Questionable. Is it human? Absolutely. We can mock it, scorn it, call it pathetic or delusional, but it's also a window into something raw and real. A person trying, at any cost, to feel powerful again, to feel wanted, to feel safe. And in this hyper-glamorous, hyper-judgmental world, she's still orbiting. Safety is a luxury. Just like love. Just like loyalty. So here she is, yet again, re-entering the public, and not with a crown, but with a question. Will this be the scandal that finally breaks her, or the scandal that saves her? We don't know. But Sarah Ferguson isn't waiting around to find out. She's packing her bags, scanning her contacts, flashing that signature smile that's charmed kings and conmen alike. And if she finds the right man, with the right plane, and the right number of zeros on his bank statement, don't be surprised if she vanishes from the British headlines, sipping cocktails in Capri by Christmas, her past neatly zipped up in Louis Vuitton and locked in the hold of a private jet. She may not have a title anymore, but don't mistake her for powerless. Because Sarah Ferguson isn't looking for love. She's looking for freedom. And this time, she's determined to buy it. And here's the twist no one's ready for. She just might succeed. Because love her or loathe her, Sarah Ferguson is nothing if not relentless. She has clawed her way back from public humiliation more times than most people have had birthdays. Scandal. She's marinated in it. Mockery. She's made it her background music. Financial ruin. Been there, done that, maxed out the credit cards. And yet she's still here. Still in the headlines. Still finding a way to be relevant in a world that's tried again and again to erase her. That kind of staying power. That doesn't happen by accident. It happens because Sarah knows the rules of survival in elite society and she's not afraid to break them. When most people would hide, she performs. When others would apologize, she spins. She knows scandal is a currency, and right now, she's using it to buy her ticket out of Britain, out of shame, and into the lap of luxury, preferably the lap of someone with a black card and zero interest in moral judgment. This isn't about starting over. That ship sailed years ago. This is about repositioning, about taking the battered, scandal-ridden version of herself and marketing it as a misunderstood, unfairly maligned, glittering socialite in need of protection. And let's be honest, there's always someone willing to play the knight. There's always a man with more money than sense who finds the idea of rescuing a fallen royal thrilling. Add a touch of scandal, sprinkle in sub-tabloid buzz, and suddenly, Sarah isn't toxic, she's tempting. And that's the calculation. She knows it. She's banking on it. Because what Sarah lacks in royal favor, she makes up for in audacity. She doesn't need the Queen's blessing anymore. She needs a yacht, a villa, and a man too rich to care what the British press thinks. But even as she paints herself as a woman wronged, liberated from the shackles of the crown, there's a haunting undercurrent. Because behind the makeup, the manicured image, the headlines about new beginnings and international suitors, there's still the same deep-rooted hunger. Not just for money, not just for status, but for belonging, for relevance, for validation. And that's the part she never admit, but everyone can feel. Because despite all the bravado, Sarah never stopped wanting to be loved not just by one man, but by the public, by the royals, by the very institution that spat her out. Her pursuit of a wealthy partner is about more than luxury. It's about proving she still matters, that she's still desirable, that she's still someone worth investing in, even if that investment now comes with a monthly allowance and a villa in St. Tropez. And that's the tragedy in all this. Because for all her flaws, for all the self-inflicted wounds and catastrophes, there's something undeniably. And if that means rewriting the rules of romance into a personal business plan, so be it. She's not interested in a partner who makes her swoon. She wants someone who makes her safe. Someone whose financial insulation is thick enough to drown out the whispers. Someone whose power can not only silence the British tabloids but erase them. That's the real play here. She doesn't want to just disappear. She wants to ascend again. Not back into royalty that ship sunk and burned, but into a new version of nobility. The international, untouchable kind. Think Monaco elite. Think St. Bart's power lunch. Think the kind of wealth that doesn't ask questions, it just signs checks.